It's a Vekuve. Bayo Nanuga is coming after Emir of Kano, Sanusi, Lamido Sanusi, blasting him, as usual now, with all of those things that they usually will say. They done a whole statement. Very predictable people, every time the same ways to attack people. So Emir Sunusi was at an event and he talked about the fact that how he has refused to talk about any policies, economic policies or whatever, anything about this government that is not going to help them in any way. They haven't, whether they have not put out things, but anyway, why am I saying all of these things when you yourself can simply sit back and listen to what Emir of Sanusi said?
To be honest, I can stand here today and I can give a few points that are contrary, a few points that explain perhaps what we're going through and how it was totally predictable, most of it, and maybe avoidable. But I'm not going to do that. I've chosen not to speak about the economy and the reforms or to even explain anything because if I explain, it would help this government, and I don't want to help the government. I don't want to help this government. They're my friends. If they don't behave like friends, I don't behave like a friend. So I watch them being stewed, and they don't even have people with credibility who can come and explain what they're doing. But I'm not going to help. I started out helping, but I'm not going to help. I'm not going to discuss it. Let them come and explain to Nigerians why the policies that are being pursued are being pursued. And meanwhile, I'm watching a very nice movie with popcorn in my hands. I'm watching them stew. But I will say one thing. What we are going through today is at least in part, not totally, at least in part, a necessary consequence of decades of irresponsible economic management.
It's not actually Bayo Onanuga that wrote the statement. The statement is coming from Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris. I'm sure because probably Emir Sunusi, so that let it not be somebody else from another tribe, taking him on. Let he be the person that is from that place. So it's the minister. But it's Bayo Onanuga that has shared the press release on his Twitter handle. It says, we don't need Sanusi's stamp of approval for federal government's laudable policies. These people. hey, okay, no. Hey, oh, Lord have mercy. Say laudable policies. The federal government illegitimate. The federal government will always be federal government. It's Tinubu's, government that is illegitimate government. The federal government notes the recent remarks by His Excellency Emir Muhammad Sanusi II regarding the economic reforms introduced under Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration at a public event in Lagos. We note the Emir's acknowledgement of the noble initiatives which he said he could explain away but for his decision not to help the government. First, we acknowledge that Sanusi and indeed any Nigerian has the inalienable right to express an opinion either in the form of commendation or criticism on how the government is being run. However, we find it amusing that a leader, more so one from an institution that ennobles forthrightness, fairness, and justice, would publicly admit to shuffling off telling the truth because of personal interests hinged on imaginary antagonism. It is pertinent to state that Nigeria is at a pivotal junction where bold and decisive actions are necessary to tackle entrenched economic challenges. This administration has implemented transformative reforms not because they are easy, but because they are essential for securing Nigeria's long-term stability and growth, as Emir Sanusi had consistently advocated. The temporary pains currently experienced from these inevitable decisions, as Sanusi himself acknowledged, are a necessary consequences of decades of irresponsible economic mismanagement more than anything else. This same person now tomorrow, this same people, when they'll be writing about Tinubu, when Tinubu is no longer illegitimately occupying the office, they will say the same thing. So this thing they are talking, the same Buhari that yesterday they were saying that his policies were the best thing after jollof rice, is the same Buhari they are now saying that they are correcting the this thing that he did, because Buhari did almost a decade, 8 years of Buhari. That's almost a decade, of Buhari. This is what they call the necessary consequence of decades of irresponsible economic management more than anything else. These reforms are already delivering measurable progress. The unification of exchange rates has bolstered investor confidence. Do these people lie to themselves? Do they see that when they write this thing, they don't feel anyhow, they don't feel a twinge when they know fully well that they are lying, so barefaced and this thing here. The unification of exchange rate has bolstered investor confidence, which has contributed to increased foreign reserves and strengthen Nigeria's ability to shield itself from external economic shocks. The removal of the fuel subsidy has freed up significant resources, allowing for greater investment in critical sectors such as infrastructure, education, healthcare. Where are this money? It's borrow, that they're still borrowing, but yet they keep lying to themselves in, day out. Projections from respected institutions, including the World Bank, show an upward trajectory in Nigeria's GDP, signaling that our economy is firmly on the path to recovery. Additionally, by addressing inefficiencies, the country has reduced the debt service to revenue ratio, creating a more sustainable fiscal framework for future generations. It is deeply disappointing that reforms widely recognized as essential by global experts, including by Emir Sunusi himself, are now being subtly condemned by him because of shift in loyalty. His Highness, given his background in economics, has a unique responsibility to contribute constructively rather than undermine reforms aimed at collective progress, because he feels estranged from his friends in government. We urge the Emir to rise above personal interests and partisan undertones and not okay. This thing just went off that. To rise above personal interests and partisan undertones and prioritize the greater good of Nigerians. Rebuilding Nigeria requires unity, focus, and sacrifice from all stakeholders as a government. But anyway, it went on and on. The thing that I just see in this tone is that this guy that wrote this tone is very political. Yes, he's subtly attacking Emir Sunusi, but not openly so. And he's using Emir Sunusi's word, against him and stuff like that, and in the way trying to say this is what the government has done, which is half lies and just be putting it out there. If it was Onanuga that had written this statement, say not to insult and not to abuse and to whatever, and then they are very careful and very mindful, because already the North is very angry, very, very angry. And so they are mindful and trying to mellow it down and anything. If it was Mr. Peter Obi that said this one, now they would have insulted. It's another guy that they would call to abuse him, to say all sorts of things, to say whatever. Sanusi's owner, they are gauging them. Very hypocritical, cowardly people. Thank you so much for watching, Jare. Bye.